Hello friends, my name is Dr. Vijay Bhatia. I am the consultant psychiatrist. Today we are going to discuss about mental disorder. What is mental disorder? Mental disorder is the disorder of the mind. This is the definition by the Mental Health Act 1983 as amended in 2007. So it involves disorder and the mind. What is mind? The mind is the set of cognitive faculties including consciousness, imagination, perception, thinking, judgment, language, memory. We will discuss these in more detail. Mind, it is usually defined as the faculty of entities, thoughts, and consciousness. It holds the power of imagination and appreciation and is responsible for processing feelings and emotions, resulting in attitudes and actions. Attitudes in terms of relating to others, impulses, actions, our control over our impulses, and gratification. Can I delay my action so that it is not immediate gratification but delayed gratification? So collectively, the different areas of the brain, rather than putting into frontal lobe, posterior lobe, we are talking about consciousness, because consciousness is the function of the whole of the brain. It is not particularly associated with the front part of the brain or brainstem, although we might say that it is much more involved in the deeper centers of the brain. However, it is the function of the whole of the brain. Similarly, imagination, it is under your control. If you are allowed to think, imagine, foresee the future, or just imagine things, it will be that you are playing with different parts of the brain to bring together visual, auditory, colors, thoughts, processes into one place to develop imagination, perception, thinking. We will discuss more in detail and their problems. And obviously, judgment, thinking will all depend upon how conscious or how clear you are about your environment and about yourself. All this work together to form the brain, and anything can go wrong with any one part, which will then can affect other parts or other areas of the functioning of the brain. It doesn't have to be a structural change. It can be just a functional change. When we say functional change, it can be because of what we give to the brain other than what should be there. In normal, there is a clear homeostasis in the brain of all the salts, water content, fat content, sugar content. These are very sensitive, balanced, and the way the brain is designed and kept in the brain inside the skull, and even the way the brain blood barrier is there, the environment surrounding the brain and the cavities of the brain that include fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, has a very narrow pH. How many salts are there? How much sugar is there? How many blood cells are there? How many blood cells that produce antibodies? How many? They are very much under control. They are very much under a very narrow balance, and any disruption to those, they are very sensitive to temperature, pH values, where it is even slightly more acid or more alkali will affect their functioning. And of course, these things will be affected by a number of factors: what we eat, what drugs we take, what food we don't take, what vitamins we eat, what vitamins are lacking. They are going to impact one way or the other. Overall, the function of the brain is learn to avoid mistakes, to keep on improving, to keep on developing. The purpose of the mind is to protect the organism from external and internal forces, to keep it safe, to keep it secure as long as it can be, and to help the body to reproduce healthily so that the generations can continue. So the brain is overall controlling head that will have a long-term effect not only on this generation but the future generations. So when we talk about these things, then we think, okay, what is normal mind then? And obviously we talked about number of things happening in the mind, um, or different parts of the brain having different functions, or collectively they are having certain functions. And so in order to be normal mind, it is difficult to define what is normal. But what we believe is normal is the most natural environment that is available. And the brain, the surrounding tissues, the surrounding fluids, the electrolytes, the chemicals, the lack of chemicals, they all are going to have the impact on us, on our mind, on our functioning. Let's take one, consciousness. Now, this is the fundamental of the any living being, that the organism is fully aware of its surrounding and even of itself. That means it is fully oriented to time, place, person, and even its own fluids, cells, blood cells, or blood itself, or cerebrospinal fluid itself, is being monitored for its temperature, for its how much salts are dissolved in it, And that is going to impact on how much attention, how much concentration we pay for this, so that you are fully aware of your environment. And not only that, the moment you identify the environment is not right, so let's say somebody had alcohol and he is feeling a little bit dizzy or high, he should be aware how to adapt, not to drink more or not to destabilize. Keep the stability there. Perception. Perception is how we perceive and interpret people, events, self, and others. In the normal mind, it is very important to have the real view of ourselves. Now, real is again quite difficult to define. What is real? What are you comfortable with? If somebody is a male, he dresses as a female, he feels more comfortable dressing as a female. Maybe that's a real view of the self of that person. And here we are not going to discuss normality in terms of the population or statistical normality. Here we are only focusing on the individual, on the self. And what is the real view of others? How we perceive others? Are they safe, secure, or are they threatening? We can't trust them. They can be harmful. What about the world? How we perceive the world? Is it safe? Is it a good place? Is it beautiful? So all these factors we will discuss more in another talk about the perceptions. Here we are going to talk generally about the functions of the normal mind. Cognitions. We should have actualization. That means we should be able to achieve maximum that we want to be, that the potential is there. Remember, the cognitions are basically acquiring and recall of knowledge, and it all depends how much attention you pay, concentration you pay, and what kind of judgments you have, what kind of planning you have, what kind of language we use. They are going to affect how you are going to progress and obtain your maximum potential. Thinking, again, this is dependent on the what we perceive, and from that perception, what we believe. Is it just an idea, or is it assumption? Could it be false? Could it be true? But for normal mind, the idea is that you should have a clear, real uh, belief, view about yourself, about the future, and about the world. Your thoughts are your own thoughts. They are not inserted to you by others, not through any other alien force. They are yours. What do you think of yourself? What do you think of others? Emotions, again, true feelings towards self and others. And these are your own feelings. They are not induced in you by others. Remember, the feelings induced by others can create conflicts. Again, behavior. Behavior has to be autonomous. That means it is under your control. You are the boss. You know where to stop, when to do, what to do. And if you believe that your behavior is controlled by others, like the studies done by obedience uh, theories, we are not obedient to anybody, but you are autonomous. You are responsible for your own behavior. And not only that, do we have resistance to stress? If somebody is feeling stressed out, do they know how to react in those situations, calm down, and later on reflect on that? Memory, again, short-term memory, long-term memory, recalling, semantic, episodic. We will discuss this in more in another chapter. Appreciation, do we like this or dislike? Recognition, how we recognize. Is it safe, secure, scary, dreadful, all this develops from normal mind. What is disordered mind then? Well, perception can be disordered. That means what we see is not real or is distorted, and that we call illusions, hallucinations, cognitions, even our thoughts. We think negative about ourselves. We undermine, I'm a failure, and what we think about others. We may have even poor attention and concentration, and we have poor judgment and planning. All this will affect your cognitions. Thinking, is there misunderstanding, confusion, conflict, and the thoughts are not clear themselves. People are giving mixed messages. Other affect our thinking, and sometimes even others will demand you to do certain things that you really don't want to do. But that is the thinking given to you. That is not your own thinking. Emotions, again, are they your or being induced? Are they stable? And if they've been for a long time, are they stable? Or if they are high or low, and if they are high and low for long periods, that will cause the mental disorder. Behavior. Now remember, behavior, it all initiates from your thinking, and they're interlinked with emotions, and they're interlinked with perceptions. Perceptions not only of the outside, but your own inner perception. Your heart is racing, your muscles are getting tense, you're getting sweating on your forehead, and your stomach is churning or butterflies. All these things, even internal, they will make you either run away from the situation, stay in the situation, fight for the situation, or carry on as well as you can. Orientation, we discussed already to some degree in our consciousness, and memory problems we will discuss in our next video.